Nose control both autos, engine and command override off. Engine arm off. 413 is in.
We copy you down, Eagle.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
Every year, hundreds of people are reported missing in national parks and forests, many of them children. And most are eventually found, whether dead or alive. But a small percentage of the cases, some right here in Oregon, are never solved. The mystery those cases present has one man wondering if there's a common denominator behind the disappearances that have search and rescue crews continuing to scratch their heads.
From ET Connections on YouTube and mountain-gate.com.
And you're listening to the Alien Strand podcast with Donald Ledesma.
Catch us on YouTube and hit like and subscribe. We'll see you there.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. Today's going to be about UFO news. We'll give you some updates and some good stuff that's been happening out there. So, hope you guys are enjoying the new year. Welcome to 2025. I kind of put everything on hold for a little bit on Alien Strand, but sometimes I gotta take a little bit of break for myself, which is fine, and catch up to some things. But hey, we got those out of the way. Enjoying 2025. Of course, now we got these colder seasons coming in. Down here in South Texas, 40 degrees. It's cold. Yeah. I know how it is about up north, but yeah, I know it's not that cold. I wish I was back to where I was in New Mexico. That's where I love it over there, man. I'm going to go back. I am going to go back. I know I am. But I'm just kind of taking my time. Anyway, I hope you guys have been enjoying Alien Strand Podcast and enjoying the films, the middle, part 1 and part 2 now on Fawsome TV, FAWESOME. You can download it on your Roku. You can download it on any Apple device. You can download it anywhere. Actually, on your Amazon sticks or boxes, you can actually download the app as well. So it's pretty much all over the place, right? If you want to watch the middle, part 1 and part 2 for free, you can see it there on Fawsome TV. Go check it out. Or just YouTube the middle part 2. We're now on, Stash TV as well. They're on YouTube. So go check it out there. You can watch it, of course, commercials. But if you don't want the commercials, you just want to pay for it and sit through these amazing documentaries, you can find them all 3 on Amazon Prime Video, even on your app on your phone. You can check it out there as well. All right, man. All right, now, we appreciate everything that everybody does to download these films and check them out and pass them on to your friends. We'd appreciate it. And if you're new to ufology, well, welcome to ufology. Ufology is about everything of the unknown, especially UFOs, these UAPs now that we call them, and extraterrestrials, Bigfoot, everything of the unknown, supernatural. We're here to give you all the information as much as possible, right? And Alien Strand is... we do tell stories, right? We do have guests on every once in a while, and of course you hear me blab all the time, but hey, I'm here to teach you about ufology, right? And just show you a couple of things that we would like to even see on our video podcasting. So you can catch us on Rumble, you can catch us on YouTube, Twitch, you can catch us on Facebook every once in a while on our video podcast. But if you do look for us, you can go to just YouTube. All we ask is click a like and subscribe, or click on all my links at the description of this podcast. You'll see everything on there, okay? So you'll see all of our films. You'll see our social media pages. You'll see our YouTube. You'll see everything on there. Even Let's Productions. Yes, they sponsor a lot of this as well. And we have sponsors there, which is America's Coffee. Go check that out. And SnackBitch85 on TikTok. Go check out that store. And I hope you guys go check those out and, buy some stuff, man, because it's always nice to gift, even gift to yourself. Man, I love to gift to myself. I'm always buying my stuff on Amazon too, every once in a while, if I can. Hey, just don't tell the wife. All right. So anyway, if you guys have been catching up to everything we've been doing on Patreon, you can visit us there as well. We have a page there for free members. You can only catch a lot of those podcasts, not here, not on YouTube, only on Patreon. There's some special podcasts there only for members, right? You can be a paid member or you can be a free member. It's okay, as long as you're a member, okay? Join in for free or join in as a paid member, and I really appreciate that. Paid members get, free downloads, free other stuff that everybody else don't get to hear, so you get to get it first. Hey, you're VIP, man, when you're a paid subscriber, but you can be a free one as well and still get a lot of the perks that comes with it. All right, so please visit us on Patreon app, download it, look for Alien Strand Podcast, you'll catch us there. All right, so what's been going on aliens and UFOs and everything of the unknown out there? I've been just kind of catching up to a lot of my social media pages. Of course, we have a TikTok that's blowing up already, and if you can't, just look for, of course, there's all my links, you'll find our TikTok page there. Anyway, so and of course TikTok, it's been out there going crazy on UFOs, UAPs, and people catch a lot of stuff. They point a lot of things out to me that they're catching up in the skies, even around their homes. They have extraterrestrials that actually walk amongst them as well. Sometimes they're not visual to everyone, they're only visual to you. All right, so there's going to be cases to where you can actually see something and somebody else can't, right? And I saw a video today about this gentleman was talking about that part of the brain that some people, not everyone, that has neurons that fire up in that part of the brain, and only you're able to see things that other people can't. Doesn't mean that you're special. Sometimes just some people have this. You get to you could be let's just say your IQ levels are much higher than other people, and let's just say that you can actually visualize things like you like ESP, things like that back in the days, where you can know when something was going to happen, and just know that something in the gut was telling you, hey, this is probably going to happen, or and then they called you a medium or some sort, right? So a lot of people are like that, right? And there's that part of the brain that fires up that actually is able to let's just say open up a part of your mind that you can see things that other people can't. And I've talked about this a lot in ufology, how maybe some things are meant only for you and not someone else, right? And maybe it's because of that part of the brain that has this area to where it only fires up and it sensories up only just for you, right? Who's to say that's not happening when like Billy Meyer, people talk about how all this stuff was fake, but I don't think it was. I see too much of his stuff out there, and it just, to me, there's a lot of ways that was not easy to do on 8mm film, right? And he said in a lot of his documentaries and interviews that they were only able to show themselves to him, not to other people, right? When he recorded a lot of these UFOs up in the sky, over the clouds or over trees, and he would tell his neighbor down in Switzerland, of course, his neighbor was probably about a mile away, but it was all open fields. They could see each other back and forth. And he said, let me know if you see something above my tree at this time. And of course, he recorded it, showed it on his video, on his 8mm recording film, and his neighbor went went to see him, of course, after that and said, no, I didn't see anything. See, this is what I was talking about, that when that guy talked about that today, I wish I could put it on, but it's about 10 minutes long. I'll probably get it up on the next podcast so you guys can get a little logistics of what it was. But, and it made sense to me that it was able to open up the sensory part of your mind to where only you can see these UFOs and other people can't. And he was talking about a story that there was a woman, there was 2 women in the back seat and 2 males in the front seat, and in another country, and they were driving, and they had the sunroof open, and the mother and the daughter in the back seat said, hey, you see this huge UFO above us? And the people in the front, the father and the son, they were like, no, I don't see anything. They weren't seeing anything, but the 2 in the back were taking videos and footage of it and what they caught, but the people in the front couldn't see it. Not because their visual was obstructed, it was an open skyline, right? In the part of the vehicle. So what if that was true, and that sensory part of your brain actually opens up just for you, right? And maybe I'm saying that everybody probably has this ability to open up that part of the brain, and what I call it the awakening moment, right? After you start listening to frequencies and start listening to a lot of these podcasts, not just mine, but others as well, and other people out there in physics, and that will open up a part of your brain that it's kind of like a sponge of some sort, right? And it's able to flow a little bit better, maybe like a straw. It's like I always talk to people about air conditioning, and I always tell them about their filters. If you don't change it out, I say, look, it's just like drinking a milkshake with a coffee straw, right? It's having a hard time and it's pulling. It's not, that air is just not flowing until you change the filter. So it's like putting a bigger straw, right? And your brain is the same way, right? You clear out the obstruction and it's able to flow freely. The obstruction is you gaining knowledge and learning about the awakening, the frequencies and things around you, to where your mind will actually open up, right? And you'll be able to, your receptors will start firing up better. And I always talk about how these UFO crafts, like you're an antenna on the ground, and they can only communicate just with you. They download and upload messages just for you, right? In which a lot of people out there is like, well, I got a message from this and they're saying this and that. It's not that you don't believe them. At first, I had a hard time actually accepting that at the very beginning when I started doing podcasting 6 years ago, right? It took all these years of research and talking to hundreds of people, thousands of people now, that possibility of the download is what's happening, right? Because they are getting this sort of information of things that are to come, or are kind of warnings at times, or it's just a download just for them, right? For them to change their way of thinking, or they're open up the receptors, let's just say that part of the brain, that once that happens, once that part of your brain opens up, then you start receiving these signals and energies, and now your eyes can actually see what's in front of you that you couldn't see before, right? So who's to say that's not happening? And these are just my opinions, but by the research that I've been doing, it really looks like that's what's happening to the human brain, right? And when I saw that video today, I was like, well, that is a really powerful statement, and is probably what is happening inside our brains at that certain time. Now, I had a conversation with one of my relatives here a couple of days ago, and he informed me that things have been happening to him all his life. He just was afraid to talk about it, right? And didn't know how to express his feelings and the images that he was getting in his mind, and the downloads and the stories that were coming to his mind as well, right? And that he had been seeing visuals and visions and extraterrestrials and things that since he was a little boy, and didn't know how to explain it. But he was talking to his mom about it, and the first thing she said was contact Donald, right? And so he did, and then here we go. We start having this wonderful conversation, and lo and behold, we just had one conversation, but just after hearing that, I was like, you know what? He has been touched by something, or something has been downloading information to his brain as well, right? The story goes a lot deeper than that, but I'll get into that at another time. But it was just the confirmation that this does happen to people, and that is correct of the actual brain firing up the way it does, and things are only made for you. Why not, right? And then the things that we see visually and not visually, right? It is what leads us to a lot of conclusions of what's out there in the news today, right? And this is what I'm going to talk about, a little bit about the news. I just wanted to break that ice breaker here just for a second. And, why not? Why not break the ice with that kind of introduction? Because you have to have an open mind to process all this information that I'm giving you, and the visuals that I give you as well as you drive today, or as you're listening at home or cleaning or listening on Alexa or wherever. You get to visualize everything as I'm saying it, right? And that's a part of your mind that's opening up, especially with the music playing in the background, relaxation. This has a lot of ways to open up and fire your receptors in your brain. And this is what these podcasts are about. They're about that. And for you to possibly have an awakening moment as well, especially if you're new to ufology or new to this podcast today. It's for you to know what's out there and how to interpret what's visualizing in your mind or even in your eyes for you to see. And a lot of it comes with a lot of downplay as well, right? So of course, our governments here in the United States and other countries, of course, with all this drone technology, everything that's been happening the past month or so, because I've had a couple of podcasts. If you go to listen to those on Patreon, I've had one about the drone. I've had one about the fog, right? And they're conspiratorial, but at the same time, it's a possibility of these things are what they are or what they're not. And that's why today's news is about UFOs, sightings that airline pilots have been going through and trying to explain to people what they are. And science is actually trying to give you the solution to that. So I'm going to read you this article from Popular Mechanics, right? It says UFO sightings are putting airline pilots in danger. It says, but scientists have designated a groundbreaking solution. It says, on the night of August 10th, 2022, 5 pilots on 2 separate commercial airline flights were wholly convinced that they documented proof of unidentified anomalous phenomenon, which is UAPs over the Pacific. Pilots from both flights reported seeing odd lights zipping through the sky. But the single incident they witnessed turns out to be Starlink telecommunication satellites, right? It says in recent years, pilots as well as the public have mistakenly identified low Earth orbit satellites as UAPs. For example, Federal Aviation Administration released a list of 69 reports from January 23rd and April 27th of 2023 that identify UFOs and UAPs and recording to one paper. It says more than a third of them could be Starlink satellites. Unfortunately, such mysterious sightings lead to pilot confusion and potential safety consequences because of the distraction of an extra chatter about over the airways, right? And you kind of see that point, right? I see that point as well. Like, yeah, you're distracted a little bit, but most of those planes that are up in the sky like that, autopilot, hello, it'll fly itself pretty much until you get your destination, unless they tell you otherwise to change your course, right? Or change your course on your panel, right? And it's just clicks away, right? A touchscreen, you can change the direction of the airplane on autopilot, same way. Anyway, it says the core issue with pilots misidentifying satellites as UAPs stems from the fact that pilots cannot access real-time data about satellite movements, leaving them unprepared to recognize strange lights in the sky. The satellites may appear to move in unexpected ways based on the orientation, and they may also appear and disappear since the solar arrays reflect sunlight and different angles when deployed relative to the pilot's position in flight. So, in other words, what it's pretty much telling you is that the string, you'll see like a string of lights. It's usually about 12 to 16 of these look like orbs in the sky, kind of stringed together. And when they go in and out of our orbit, they seem to appear and disappear, or they come close to you, right? I really do highly recommend to download an app, and they're not paying me for this, but it's called Satellite Tracker, right? And that'll tell you exactly when Starlink is coming over you, right? And you'll even get notifications of that as well. And that's the cool thing about these apps. Even when you're looking for airplanes, if you think it's a plane or even a star up in the sky that you think it's a UFO, a lot of times it's Sirius. Sirius is a pretty bright star, but it doesn't zip across the sky like Starlink. And this is what this article is saying about Starlink, right? So what do you do, right? You have to keep an open mind, but the reality of science is giving the pilots on these airplanes, they're pretty much telling the pilots that, hey, think about what you're going to say before you say it, and make sure it's not Starlink, right, before you report it. Which I tell a lot of people in the ufology community, because they all, sometimes my sister or other people will send me this link. It looks like a bunch of stars or orbs coming at them, and it just disappears into the sky, right? About 16 of them or so. And I always tell them, did you check your Starlink app? It's probably Starlink, because they do go in and out of our orbit, right? Not orbit, but it just looks that way. So once I go back on my app, I go back to where they were, the time, I go back, there you go. Right? But, and I don't mean to spoil the anticipation and the excitement of a UAP, but the realization of that what you're looking at is not a UAP, and we have to know the difference. And that's what these things are for. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute.
Alien Strand Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the show. Hope you guys are enjoying the content here as we talk about Starlink. All right, so Starlink satellites, it says orbit about 342 miles above the Earth. According to Starlink websites, and they place them lower sometimes than most other satellites, making them visible to our eyes as spots of light. No magnification needed. More than 6,000 Starlink satellites are currently circling the Earth, as the SpaceX-owned companies aims to eventually have 42,000 satellites in low Earth orbit. Wow. 42,000. Imagine that. Having that many freaking satellites up in our lower orbit. So in other words, I don't know if we would want that many. I mean, these things fall out of the sky sometimes. It could. What's to say that it doesn't have a malfunction of some sort, right? It happens. Anything man-made will break. Okay, that's just the way it is. And this is my mind's thinking. My mind's thinking. And we see these satellites come down sometimes in people's farms, over their houses, in their backyards. And I think at 42,000 satellites, that might just be a little dangerous, but I think they're just looking at the communicational part of this, right? Because we're so used to using our antennas and everything on the ground, or they're still using satellites, dishes, to communicate with these things, right? but in a different frequency. We're looking at a digital frequency now. We're not at analog anymore. So this is how or why they want so many up in the sky, just in case. It's a little much to me, but, you know, and I get it. They want people to be able to communicate when there's parts where they can't, right? Like, you ever seen these little two-way radios they have now? They're communicating everywhere around the globe from one end to another with not a hesitation. And it's because of these satellites that they're able to communicate back and forth to throw the signal. And are we just being a little overcautious about that? That's the thing. Do they expect some kind of catastrophe or something that will have us to use that kind of frequency and to contact one another in maybe a catastrophic event of some sort? Maybe. I don't know. But four scientists want to fill the information gap in this type of situation to prevent unnecessary aviation risk. In other words, this was led by an engineer, Douglas Buter, of the University of Utah. The team devised a method to simulate the exact locations of satellites, and they proposed plans that would provide pilots with their information that they would need quickly to identify satellites, which is great. I think that would work wonderfully for them. In other words, in real time. Just like I talked about that app where it tells me that, oh, guess what? Space, the Starlink is going to be flying over you here in about 10 minutes. That's what it tells me. So I already know. Even if it's broad daylight, I can't see it, but probably if it was nighttime, I'd be able to see it. And I've seen it a couple of times fly over me when the app is telling me. This would be a great thing for airline pilots. So this is they want to kind of give the pilots and people out there some kind of point of interest. In other words, so that way you know the difference between the Starlink satellites and a UFO, right, or UAP. And it says to shed some light on the 5 pilots. The scientists conducted a astrometric analysis of the reports using 2 cell phone photos and a video that was taken by one of the pilots on recognized and possibly anomalous phenomenon, according to the paper. To collaborate the data, researchers looked up Starlink's records and nothing that the visual line that the satellites created in the sky, called a train of satellites, launched that same day, and it says. The team also used the data from the flight, including photographs taken in the cockpit. Using these 2 pieces of information, an orbital mechanics software tool, that they were able to reconstruct the August 10th cockpit view and showed Starlink satellites matching both the time and place of the sightings, right? So, and this technique is called ray traced rendering, right? So when it gives you the view from the cockpit, and that's pretty cool, really, in reality, for them to be able to break that down for them and to show them that, okay, yeah, you thought you were seeing that, but really, in reality, it was Starlink. And that breaks it all down for them. But look how many people it took, scientists, all these people, just to figure out something for the pilots and the mass confusion that could be happening to them up in the sky, right? And for them to take their mind off of UAPs, UFOs, because now that seems to be the topic focus of everything now. Before, it was like, if you talked in the 70s, 80s, even early 90s, if you talked about UFOs, oh my God, you better put him in the nut house, or put them in the nut house. They're crazy. They think they're seeing little green men, right? But yet, now, the topic has blown up 150% due to our whistleblowers, yes, and due to these government conference meetings that they're having now with the DOD and everybody that's involved, right, is actually coming out and saying these things do exist. these technologies do exist and have and play a large part of our human technology today and our growth of technology today. They have been the stepping stone into what you're seeing in your hand right now, which is your cell phone. What you have in your hand in the 1960s was the size of 3 rooms and was able to fly these spacecraft, rockets up in the sky, up in space. What you have in your hand, but back then it was the size of a large convention room, right? That's how much equipment it took. Now they can do that with what you have in your hand right now. Technology has grown because of, they say, these UAP crashes. I've talked a lot about it before as well, right? Why not? And then now that the drones that we've been seeing up in the New Jersey area, which fired up right there in that area, radiation levels were going through the roof on some apps that we were following. So if you go to our main Patreon, go look at those past podcasts there. I talk a lot about this, and I show you a lot of evidence to correlate exactly what was happening in real time as I give you the timeline. The same thing with the fog incidents, right? So even though they're conspiratorial, I'm still breaking down timelines, dates, times for you, and showing you that the technology that they're using out there may be a part of ufology, right? Of crashed UFOs. And the propulsion systems and longer flight times now. Okay, most drones, I'm going to tell you that right now. We'll get into it real quick. Most drones, 24 minutes to 30 minutes. Total flight time. Right? These things were flying for hours. Some in just certain spots. I'm sure the bigger drones will fly about 35, 40 minutes. Tops before they have to recharge. So if we're not using some sort of newer technology that helps these drones fly at longer periods of time, or it's able to switch batteries or go to a backup battery that's built into the unit, which probably makes more sense, that it'll fly a longer time. But 2 hours or more, yeah, that's what kind of brings the strangeness into the technology, right? And that's really goes down a rabbit hole on that one. But it doesn't change the fact that we still think of everything as coming from UAPs or UFOs, right? Or crashes back in the day. And speaking of UFOs and UAPs in the New Jersey, there's another article from Your Weekly called FBI Danish Police Investigate Mysterious UFO Incidents Amid the Baltic Tensions. It says, is there a link? I don't know. Maybe. It says Danish police and the FBI are investigating what seems like separate incidents of a fleet of unidentified flying objects swarming the skies. They are thought to be an unknown type of drone, but no official explanation has been given. Investigations are ongoing. Since it's official, something bizarre is going on over the Danish airspace. A strange and unexplained turn of events. Danish police have launched an investigation after at least 20 unidentified flying objects, possibly drones, were spotted over the city of Køge, southwest of Copenhagen. These eerie sightings, reported late Friday night, January 3rd, by visibly shaken eyewitnesses, have their eyebrows raised and sparkling widespread speculation. What did we do to New Jersey? Same thing, right? While a few of the objects were quickly spotted, then they vanished into the night sky, leaving no trace behind. The real question remains, where did they come from? And why were they there? What's even known and more unnerving, there were no permits issued for drone flights in the area. This is what makes a lot of this stick, right? Because I've told you over and over about UAPs, even if you're flying one commercially or you're flying one for entertainment purposes, a lot of times you have to get permits over a certain amount of feet, right? I think in the U.S. it's 400 feet. That's the max that you can go. I said the police immediately alerted Denmark's Domestic Intelligence Service, the PET, but the origins of the mysterious flying objects remain unknown, with tensions raising across the Baltic region. Could these strange occurrences be more than just a harmless anomaly? I don't know. I don't know. It's a possibility. But are they going through the same thing that we just went through? That's my question, right? Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in just a minute.
Alien Strand Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the show. Hope you're enjoying the content today. We're talking about the UFOs over the Baltic Sea. So let's get back to it. So they're thinking that impossibly Russian sabotage and the fears may grow. The sightings in Koi comes at a time when Nordic and Baltic nations are at high alert and worried that these unknown flying objects may be connected with the growth of fears of Russian hybrid warfare. Could these UFO-like drones be a part of something bigger? The recent string of incidents involving damaged undersea cables only fuels this theory. Meanwhile, in Finland, authorities are investigating the possible sabotage of S-Link 2 undersea power cable, which links Finland to Estonia. Finnish officials have raised suspicion about a shadowy fleet of ships believed to be working to avoid EU sanctions and possibly linked to the sabotage. With this in mind, they could be these mysterious objects that connect to a larger convert activities, right? Could this be something that they're using militarily, right, to cut off communications? I don't know, maybe. Of course, this is political and maybe conspiratorial as well, right? And this is what we're thinking with this article. It also states, just this November, 2 fiber optic cables were severed in the Baltic Sea, sparkling further fears of sabotage. Swedish authorities also investigate the Chinese vessel as a part of the inquiry, casting yet another shadow over the growing mystery. Yeah, maybe. It's just the tensions are still way out there right now as we're waiting for the dust to settle here in the U.S. still. And are UFO sightings on the rise? I think they are. U.S. reports of strange objects in the sky. But the odd sightings aren't confined to Denmark alone. Around the world, reports of unidentified flying objects are on the rise. In the U.S., fleets of unidentified flying objects have been seen hovering over power stations, airports, and other sensitive sites. This is a true statement. We've seen the videos. And now it's sparking widespread concern and speculation about who or what is behind them. Eyewitnesses state in New Jersey reported a massive orb-like flying objects that did not look like planes and did not behave like planes. Several witnesses got close-ups to these objects and described them as like nothing they ever seen before. New Jersey resident Evan Clutter described one of the objects hovering over a tree in the middle of the night. He says suddenly it got closer and closer as it's hovering right over the trees. And it looks like, I guess, an enormous drone. He says, I was visibly lost for words. I'm not even sure what it was. I've never seen anything like it. It's just a drone on steroids, he says. The FBI are officially investigating these objects, right? And now sightings in the UK and Germany as well. So in the UK, mystery drones appeared over the U.S. Air Force bases, while in Germany, similar objects were spotted over the military and industrial sites, including Ramstein, U.S. Air Base. With more countries becoming involved, it's clear that these strange flying objects aren't just a local issue. Yeah. Could these sightings be connected to something or more ominous? Whether spy drones or UFOs, authorities are on the high alert as they work together to uncover the truth, as these mysterious visitors from the sky. The question is, what are we dealing with? The truth is out there. It's up to us to find it, right? And as ufologists and studying ufologists, we all work together as we figure out disclosure little by little. And everything that we do report and find and spread with these UFO groups, UAP groups, Alien Strand Disclosure Project groups from MUFON, everywhere around the world, as we spread the information, it is disclosure, because we are disclosing this information as it comes out to all of you. Whether some of it may be AI or something that has been refabricated, we usually get down to the bottom of it. And even on Alien Strand Podcast, even on Facebook, or when there is a mistake made and we find out it is AI, we do go back and retract it, right? Or we update it with the proper information of what that visual was, right? Or what it wasn't. And you can find a lot of our videos on TikTok now, like I said. So you'll see a lot of interesting stuff there. Just look for Alien Strand Podcast. You'll find us there as well. Now, there was a lot of information laid out here today of UFO news, because that's what it is. UFO and UAP news, right? And then a little bit of personal news, and then some news on the brain activity or how we are connected to these UFOs and UAPs, right? And if you want to connect to them, you can just go look for my book. It's on Amazon Books. You can download it on your tablet. It's called CE5, Frequencies of Contact. Go look at it, download it, read it. If you want to learn how to connect with UFOs and UAPs, and once you connect, you're going to stay connected, right? You're not even going to have to do the process of opening your mind, because once you go through the book and go through everything that I suggest you to do, this is a handbook for you. And it just kind of shows you how to unlock that part of your brain that needs to be unlocked. And once you see them, you can't unsee them anymore. They will start giving you the information. You'll start seeing them more and more. And you'll be able to connect and contact. And I hope you guys do download the book. Go see our movies, The Middle, Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, now on Amazon Prime and on Fossum TV. I hope you got a lot of this information today out of this podcast. A little bit of the news. We're going to get some new people on. And I hope you guys are enjoying everything that you're hearing here. Go to alienstrand.com. Go check us out there. And, a lot of our information is out there for you guys. If you like this podcast, give us a thumbs up. If you're on Spotify, comment on it. We appreciate it. It helps disclosure go a long way. Go watch our movies. Spread them out to as many people as possible. It's all for disclosure. It's not to be a millionaire. Nope, that ain't happening. It's just to spread disclosure. And that's the part of UAP news and UFO news that everybody needs to hear about. is disclosure. And that's what Alien Strand Podcast is about. It's about disclosure. Yeah, that's right. Hope you guys, like I said, enjoyed it. Go to where it says all my links at the bottom of this podcast. On the description, go look at our sponsors. If you're looking for Alien Strand, you'll see everything about us there as well, right? And that's the best way it can be. Follow Alien Strand. We really appreciate it. All right, guys. It's been my absolute pleasure of giving you this awesome information of UFO news today. Yeah. Don't forget to catch our live streaming podcasts when they do come out. I do announce them on our Alien Strand Facebook, on my personal Facebook page, when I will be coming out live. You can follow us live. Go to look for us on Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch. Yeah, we'll be live there, and I'll be showing you I'll show you a lot of videos, a lot of my proof of what these things are, what they're not. Yeah. A lot of visual presentations. I love doing visual presentations, man, because when you're watching it, it's really sticking to you. Yeah, it's got to be, man. We have to watch it in order to get your receptors firing up in your brain. All right, guys. Until next time, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night.
About CE5 and extraterrestrial contact. Download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.